Hey everybody, today we're going to talk about histamine intolerance and what the causes are, what some of the root causes are, and how you can manage those causes or those histamine levels. I know a lot of people think food might be the only or the main thing, and it is one of the contributing factors. However, there is so much more involved in it. So, some of the other things to be considered. First of all, histamine is a natural substance that the body produces. And when it's in balance, it benefits us. It is literally involved in almost every process that the body does in one way, shape, or form. So when it's in balance in normal amounts, it helps us with our circulation, our focus, our digestion. It serves as a warning sign when things abnormally happen to us, like, for instance, a bee sting. It's that histamine that causes the skin to swell up, get red, maybe get itchy, to let you know that something happened and where it happened, okay? Or, those red and itchy and watery eyes and runny nose that you might have during certain seasonal times of the year. That is due to the histamine response to the pollens, the different pollens that might be in the air. So it's a benefit to us to have this histamine in our body at appropriate levels. It literally can be involved it affects our breathing, to our hormones, to your brain. It even involves anxiety. Okay. So again, when it's in balance, it's a wonderful thing. It's when we have too much of it in our body that people can get histamine intolerances, and where the body then is just like overreacting to everything. So what are some of the root causes then of this histamine intolerance or this overabundance of histamine? Well, we mentioned food. Food is definitely one of the factors. The bacteria on food itself can produce and release histamine. Okay, so the difference there is that bacteria can't actually produce it, but then it can also cause it to be released by the body itself. Food allergies. Now, that's a difference between a food allergy and an intolerance or a sensitivity. A food allergy is when you have an IgE antibody response to the food item. And so you might have an immediate reaction in your body. A second thing might be environmental allergies or sensitivities, such as we mentioned pollen, hay fever, your seasonal allergies. It would also include multiple chemical sensitivities, or MCS. I know years ago, basically the doctors tell you that you're crazy if you have any kind of reaction to chemicals. And I know that there's still some parts of the world, even here in the States, where they still think that. But there have been recent studies in France connecting histamine response to chemical sensitivities. So there's progress being made. A third thing that is a root cause of histamine intolerance is DAO deficiency. And DAO is diamine oxidase, and that is an enzyme that is produced in the small intestine to help break down the histamines that food produces. Okay? So when you have healthy gut cells, your body will produce this enzyme, this DAO. But this DAO needs other things, other helpers to make it active. They're called cofactors. And these cofactors are B6, B12, copper, vitamin C, omega-3 fats, iron. So if those cofactors are deficient, then your DAO activity is going to be deficient. So what may cause these cofactors to be deficient? Well, one thing is that if there are heavy menstrual cycles, fibroids, endometriosis, this can cause iron deficiency. There can be hemorrhoids, ulcers, H. pylori infection. If you use a proton pump inhibitor, birth control pills, these can all cause deficiencies in B6, B12, and vitamin C. A copper deficiency can be caused by ingesting more than 60 milligrams daily for longer than 6 months of zinc, which a lot of people might be doing that right now because of, for health reasons. And that in itself can cause a copper deficiency, an imbalance in it. So something to think about. Alcohol and certain medications will block DAO production. What else can block DAO production? Thyroid imbalances, including Hashimoto's. And it's because they share the same root cause, which is gluten sensitivity, leaky gut, SIBO, SIBO, and IgE allergies. Those IgE allergies impair the ability to break down histamine in the digestive system. It affects that DAO. Now, hormone imbalance. You heard me right. Hormone imbalance is a contributor to high histamine levels. As we get older, everybody's hormones change. And in women, you reduce your progesterone and your estrogen. And many times you end up being estrogen dominant because estrogen can be produced in the body by eating certain foods. Progesterone cannot be produced in the body. There's no food you can ingest to do that. You can apply topical things, progesterone-wise, to balance that out. But the thing here is that estrogen mast cells, which can store and produce histamines, also have estrogen receptor sites. So this can cause the production and release of histamine, decreasing DAO levels, or that enzyme level. When you have a progesterone deficiency, it also raises then histamine levels because it's not there to decrease it. And it also contributes to thyroid imbalances, which, as I just mentioned, contributes to histamine levels as well. So, how do we manage histamine levels? Let's talk about ways that we can manage histamine levels. First of all, the easiest thing is to avoid your known food allergies, right? And also avoid any high histamine foods. Now, to get a little bit deeper, then you have your pollens and your air particles contributing to histamines. Get a high quality air purifier with a HEPA filter. Utilize natural antihistamines or histamine blockers. There are many, many essential oils that are natural histamine blockers. Lemon, lavender, and peppermint are 3 of them, but there's a whole list of them. Quercetin is something to consider. It calms your inflammation. It blocks the release of histamine from your mast cells and stabilizes them. Turmeric, vitamin C. So not only increase your supplement of vitamin C, but you can also increase how much vitamin C rich foods you're eating. Your tropical fruits, your citrus fruits, broccoli, cauliflower, berries. Stinging nettle leaf extract is good for respiratory health. When your histamines affect your respiratory health, like sinus infections, sinus pressure, histamine-induced asthma. Use a good probiotic that does not contain or mostly contains low histamine strains of bacteria. So let me rephrase that. Use a probiotic that contains all low histamine producing bacteria strains, or most of them, all of them. Use a DAO supplementation. Green tea, progesterone, as I mentioned, it naturally lowers the histamine levels. And enzymes. Only makes sense to take enzymes because if you have foods that are not breaking down properly, then histamines are going to be produced. So especially try to get one that has, the one I use is the one that is specifically designed for allergies, and it contains antihistamine property ingredients. So as long as you can see, the whole focus, when you drill it down, it gets back to the gut again. I mean, you can do the topical things, the surface things of purifying, taking something during the seasonal times. But unless you get down to the core reason behind the issue, which is always the gut, then you're going to continue to have histamine reactions, and they'll start becoming more increased and more frequent, and allergic reactions as well. So certainly avoid the foods. If you're continuing to eat the foods that are known offenders, then expect to have repeated episodes. And at some point, they'll come more frequently. So if your gut isn't healthy, you're going to have these increased allergic reactions and develop elevated histamine levels. So hopefully this information has been helpful to you. You can take some of it home and apply it to yourself. My blog will be published on Friday, and it drills down a little more details as to what each one of those helpful things you can do to manage your histamine levels, what their benefits are. So look for that if you haven't If you haven't registered to get notified when the posts are published, when my blog is published, you might want to consider doing that. Or you can go to my website, SheilaMeyer.com, and view it there under Sheila's Insights. Now, go have a great day.